Hello and a warm welcome to Sarat Chandra IAS Academy, where your dreams are our mission. This is Yatharth here. Today we'll be discussing most important current affairs from this week and related mapping. The mapping portion, as I always tell you, is very important. So we'll be talking about various cyclones. Recently a cyclone has hit southern India. So we'll be talking about that and about the nature of cyclones. We'll be talking about COP28 that is happening in UAE and what have been the various discussions related to that, such as loss and damage fund, discussions related to coal, use of methane, and the perspective of India in this energy issue. Alright, we'll be talking about various different things further on. So let's start. The cyclone Michong. Here we'll start from. So an orange alert has been, these alert are the types of alerts from IMD, that is Indian Meteorological Department. So you study the types of alert and what they mean. So they have been sounded by the IMD for Andhra Pradesh and adjoining North Tamil Nadu Pondicherry coast. So Andhra Pradesh is here, let's say, then adjoining Pondicherry and Tamil Nadu coast. A cyclone Michong approaches the southern Andhra Pradesh coast. So current position of the cyclone, the weather system over west, central and adjoining southwest Bay of Bengal. So first of all, please remember this cyclone is from Bay of Bengal and hitting the Andhra Pradesh as well as Tamil Nadu. Let's go further. Of southern Andhra Pradesh and adjoining North Tamil Nadu coast intensifies into a severe cyclone storm 8:30 this morning. So this morning we don't have any context to this. Let's just talk about the category of the cyclone. So it's a severe cyclone. So when is the landfall? The severe cyclone storm is expected to make a landfall. Landfall means when it comes in contact with the land and either floods or results in very high rainfall. Alright, so on Tuesday around noon, accompanied by a wind reaching up to 100 km per hour, the weather system is expected to persist until December 7th and thereafter become a deep depression. Alright, so let's just talk about this cyclone here. Just a second. Alright, so this is the Bay of Bengal, as you can see. These are the Andaman and Nicobar Islands, and this originated here in the Bay of Bengal and went northwards towards the Andhra Pradesh coast as well as the northern Tamil Nadu coast here. But the areas most affected will be the Andhra Pradesh coast. So let's see what destruction it does. So these things you can read in the disaster management, which is a topic in UPSC mains. Alright, so let's have the basic knowledge from GS1 now. This is the GS3 knowledge. Let's get GS1 knowledge now, that what are cyclones. So from geography. So cyclone is a large air mass. First of all, this thing, large air mass. The category is air mass that rotates around a strong center of low atmospheric pressure. So please remember air mass, revolution and around the area of low pressure. Alright, counterclockwise in the northern hemisphere and clockwise in the southern hemisphere. So India is in some southern hemisphere. As viewed from above, opposite to an anticyclone. Cyclones are characterized by inward spiraling winds that rotate about a zone of low pressure. So the winds are inwards. This also you please remember. Upper level cyclones can exist without the presence of a surface low. So these questions can be asked directly. This upper level cyclone can exist without surface low. How many statements are correct, as UPSC has been asking in recent years. Alright, so and can pinch off from the base of the tropical upper tropospheric trough during the summer months in northern hemisphere. Cyclones have also been seen on extraterrestrial planets such as Mars, Jupiter and Neptune. So this can also come as a fact. Alright. Extratropical cyclones begin as waves in large regions of enhanced mid-latitude temperature contrasts called as baroclinic zones. So please remember these term also, baroclinic zone. So these zones will lead to cyclones eventually. It can be asked that this term or this phenomena leads eventually to cyclone, tsunami, alright, or which of the disaster. Alright, so these zones contract and form weather fronts such as cyclone circulation close and intensifies. Later in their life cycle, extratropical cyclone occlude as a cold air masses undercut the warmer air and become cold core systems. A cyclone's track is guided over the course of its 2 to 6 day life cycle by the steering flow of the subtropical jet stream. So this thing also you please remember that it's guided by the subtropical jet stream. Alright, let's understand diagrammatically here. So this is the outflow. Just a second. Okay, so this is the warm rising air. Warm air always rises. And the cold air always sets down or falls. So this we can see here, the cold air is falling down and the warmer air is rising. So this is making the spirals of this cyclone, inward spirals of this cyclone, and this is, you can see the outflow. Alright, this is the eye of the cyclone where the low pressure zone is there, and storm rotation is clockwise. This storm rotation is clockwise. This we can see here again in the tropical cyclone, that this is the eye of the cyclone where warm moist air rises. So please remember these things, that warm moist air is rising in the eye of the cyclone, which is a low pressure zone. Alright, so this is enough for us to remember rest of the things. Okay, next news let's come to, which is Indonesia's Marapi volcano erupts. So volcano eruption we recently saw near the coast of Japan also, under the sea. Now this is above the sea and on an island in Indonesia. So we are talking about the Marapi volcano. So Indonesia's Marapi volcano in the West Sumatra. So please remember where is the structure of, brief structure of Indonesia, Java, Sumatra, etc. We'll see in the mapping portion also. So it erupted on Sunday, spewing volcanic ash as high as 3,000 meters into the air, according to the country's disaster management agency, BNPB. That's not important. Just remember the name of the volcano here, the Mount Marapi. So it's an active volcano, as you can see. Let's come now to the mapping portion here. So this you can see Sumatra. Just a second. Alright, so this is the northern portion of the Indonesia. You can see the Sumatra here. This is the Mount Marapi. Now we'll see a different news. Venezuela claims large support, just a second, for annexing oil-rich Guyana territory. So let's talk about this. So Venezuela has claimed it has large public support to take over an oil-rich region across the border in Guyana. So we'll have to see mapping here. Whenever you are reading geographical news, always focus on mapping, exclusively on mapping. So the referendum result announced on Monday came after the International Court of Justice (ICJ) warned Caracas. Caracas is the capital of Venezuela against annexation of the territory called Essequibo, which has long been ruled by the Guyana. So it's a territory conflict or territorial conflict. So you can make a list of territorial conflict presently going on in the year 2023. It has been a hot topic, let's say between Ukraine and Russia, or Armenia and Azerbaijan, or some other countries. So here you have one more example, the Essequibo between the Venezuela and Guyana. Recently we talked about various territory exchange between Bhutan and China also. So you can make a list of things that how India can be affected because of that. India, Bhutan, China. Along with that, you can talk about India and Nepal, the Kalapani issue. Alright, so these can be into your lists. Now further we'll see. So Essequibo is larger than Greece, so it's not an insubstantial area, and it's rich in minerals. It also gives access to an area of Atlantic where energy giant ExxonMobil discovered oil in commercial quantities in 2015, drawing the attention of Maduro. Maduro is the president of Venezuela's government. Caracas, that means Venezuela, basically considers, it's a general terminology. When we talk about India, we write Delhi. Alright, so we just write the name of the capital. Considers Essequibo as its own because the region was within its boundaries during the Spanish colonial times. The Guyanese government insists on retaining the border determined in Paris in 1899 by an arbitration panel, while claiming that Venezuela had agreed with the ruling until it changed its mind in 1962. Alright, so we don't need to go after the geopolitical reasons or why this territory is wanted by Venezuela. Just remember the name of the territory and what all resources it provides, basically oil plus minerals plus access. Alright, so let's see furthermost. This is Southern Africa, sorry, Southern America or South Americas. Alright, so this is the northern part of the Southern Americas, Venezuela. You can see Colombia there. This is the Guyana Escubia. This is Guyana here, and this is Suriname or Suriname. Alright, this is the Atlantic Ocean. Let's see a brief or bigger picture also. But you can see here that Guyana is ruling this territory, the Guyana Escubia, and Venezuela is claiming to having this territory because of its oil reserves. So this is a territorial conflict. Guyana is very small compared to Venezuela, that is also there. Alright, so let's see the bigger picture here, which are the neighboring countries. You can see various topographical mountains here. The Amazon is also located here between the Brazil, Venezuela, Colombia, this region. Alright, so Essecuba, it has a lot of oil here, nearby regions. And this is the Guyana, which is ruling it right now. The Venezuela wants it. Other countries here are Suriname, Brazil, Colombia, etc. And this is Caracas, the capital of Venezuela. Moving further, you can see here a map of South Americas. Please always remember these borders, etc. They are very, very important. Alright, so this is Venezuela here. We'll study the mapping once as we have gotten the opportunity now. So this is Venezuela here, which we are talking about. When we go towards the north of Venezuela, sorry, the left of Venezuela, there is Colombia. And the capital of Colombia is Bogota. Alright, the capital of Venezuela is Caracas. Please remember. So when we go down to the Colombia, then there is Ecuador. Remember this country also, because question last time came from Africa about the DRC, that what is Democratic Republic of Congo, and which countries are included in the Congo Basin. Which countries are included in the Congo Basin. Alright, so this time question can come from Southern America. Southern Americas. Alright, so please remember the name of all the countries. So it's very easy because Brazil is the largest country here. So it's the largest country here. In a previous lecture, I also told you about all the mountains, the Andes mountains here. Alright, so Brazil has the largest area under the Amazon or Amazon rainforests. Alright, so when we come down from Ecuador, there is Peru here, and the capital of Peru is Lima. When we go further anti-clockwise, there is Bolivia. Alright, and Paraguay here. Then there is a big country, the coastal country, Chile, which extends from middle to the bottom, and there is Argentina. Alright, and there is Uruguay here. So how we can remember it very simply? Just a second, I'll show you. Don't forget these countries, Guyana, Suriname, and French Guiana. Alright, so we start from Venezuela. That is Venezuela. Then we go to the Colombia. Then we come down to the Ecuador. Then we come down to Peru. Then we go to the Bolivia. And in middle we place the Brazil. Alright, Venezuela, on the side of Venezuela we'll put Guyana. As we already are talking about territorial dispute between these two, so we'll remember it easily. And furthermore, we'll place two more countries, Suriname and French Guiana. Alright, and border them with Brazil eventually. So this makes a circle. Then here comes the Chile. In between comes the Argentina. Alright, in down to Bolivia, there is Paraguay and Uruguay. Alright, so this will create a map of Southern Americas. So please remember all these countries, as you can see in the map here. Okay, let's talk about one more country from Africa. We'll see the mapping portion here also. So in some neighborhoods of drought-prone Kenya, this theme has been repeated many times in the African lake was also asked in 2022. Lake Fagumine, because it was on verge of drying. Alright, the another lake that Kenya is located near is Lake Victoria. Okay, so we'll be seeing that in the mapping portion. For now, we'll just read the news quickly because these type of questions keep coming. One in 2022, one question came about the Miyawaki method of forest conservation in urban forest conservation in Japan. So these filter in Kenya that these can also be asked. No wonder if they are asked. So in the outskirts of Kenya's capital Nairobi, there is no piped water or sewage system, and drought has made clean water supply scarcer and expensive for locals. So twice a week, trucks with 5,000 to 10,000 liters come and water will fill up vending stations across the Athi River. So this Athi River we have to see in mapping that where is this Athi River located. All right. So this is not important further. What we have important is those whose homes are kitted out with water filters. So what type of filters are they? Distributed by a local non-profit, the nearby river polluted, prone to drought and usually unsafe for drinking, is becoming cheaper and sometimes more reliable source of clean water. So basically there is some sort of filter which is making the river water, which is like infested with pollutants, cleaner. Alright, so we'll see what kind of filter is this. So the device are size of small water bottle and are fitted with a hose pipe onto a bucket. They can filter water from the river and nearby swamps into potable water. Potable means drinkable water that can be used by the residents. It filters every germ or pathogen that causes waterborne diseases. So what are waterborne diseases? All right. Waterborne diseases are those pathogens of those diseases carried by the water. Earlier in the last lecture, we talked about malaria. Malaria was a vector-borne disease. All right, because the vector is between humans. Okay, the waterborne diseases where pathogens live in the water and their life cycle involves living in the water, or otherwise let's say they will not be able to spread. So they are in such a way that it has micro holes that don't allow these particles that cause waterborne diseases pass through. Let's talk about the Athi River. So historically, Athi River is a water scarce region. Grasslands turned brown from the scorching sun and huge tracts of land were left until as the residents could not farm the drylands. Consecutive seasons of failed rains and droughts driven by the human caused climate change and consecutive naturally occurring La Nina weather phenomena have worsened shortages. You must have seen that La Nina and El Nino, they have different effect in India and Africa or Southern Americas. So don't get confused because El Nino in India will produce heat waves while the La Nina will produce good rainfall. Alright, so what are their effects in Southern America or Africa? They can be differentiated. Alright, let's talk about the mapping portion here. So we can see the Athi River here. The Athi River is close to the Nairobi National Park, Nairobi, here the capital of Kenya. So it's inside the Kenya. Alright, let's also talk about the neighboring countries and where the Kenya is located. So Kenya is located here. Does it have a sea border? Yes, it has a sea border. Alright, when we see the north of Kenya, there is Somalia. Somalia, there is an acute problem of terrorism. So you can have this as a topic. There is Ethiopia here on the north of Kenya. Alright, there is South Sudan, the Uganda, Rwanda, Burundi, and Tanzania toward the south of the Kenya. There are other countries. This is the Democratic Republic of Congo, from where the question came in 2023. Alright, no wonder if question comes from any of these countries or the Southern American map that we just read. So please be clear about the mapping portion always. Alright, so this lake, certain lake which is inside the African subcontinent, it is known as the Lake Victoria. It's one of the biggest lakes of the world. Okay, this is Madagascar here, which is broken off Africa here. Alright, you can see the same map here but with more let's say visualization. This is the Democratic Republic of Congo, considering the Congo basin. This is Congo, Gabon, Burundi, Central African Republic, Chad, Niger, Sudan here. Alright, so South Sudan here, then Uganda, Kenya, Ethiopia, Somalia, Tanzania, Rwanda, and Burundi, two small countries here, and this is Lake Victoria. Alright, let's talk about one more news, which is methane and COP28. So COP28 had been taking place in the country of UAE. We already talked about what is UAE, what is Dubai, etc. So methane we'll talk about in this lecture. So methane is an organic compound. Organic compound means compound made of carbon, or their backbone should be made of carbon, consisting of one carbon atom and four hydrogen atoms, that is CH4. It has gained a recent attention due to its status as a potent climate pollutant. While climate discussions typically center around the carbon and carbon dioxide emissions, there is a growing awareness among world leaders and philanthropists. Philanthropists means those who want the good of people about the impact of methane on global warming. So, global warming, how does it act? You can see. Just a second, I'll show. So, global warming basically the whatever radiation of sun in comes to the earth. Alright, let's say this is earth. So if there is some gas present in the environment, there's an incoming radiation will just heaten the gas and it is trapped. Alright, so the environment becomes, it rises in the temperature. So this is global warming. We don't want these gases. So there are many potent gases which can do this, such as CO2, CH4. The CH4 is essentially methane. Talking about this during the COP28 climate talks in the UAE, several philanthropic bodies such as Sequoia Climate Foundation and the Bezos Earth Fund declared a collective investment of 450 million. Though this is basically loss and damage fund, but we talk about methane specifically. So methane possesses a high global warming potential, GWP, compared to the carbon dioxide, and it is actually a higher. So GWP measures the warming caused by substance related to the same mass of carbon dioxide over a specific period of time. Basically, how let's say more harmful is something related to carbon dioxide, that is CO2. So if CO2 has a GWP of 1, methane has GWP of 28. It's 28 times more harmful. Alright, indicating its greater warming effect. Other substances like nitrous oxide, sulfur hexafluoride have even higher GWPs. Sulfur hexafluoride, that is SF6. Alright, and nitrous oxide NO2. So, however, methane is considered a short-lived climate pollutant because it breaks down in the atmosphere within a matter of years, unlike carbon dioxide, which persists for decades. Source of methane emission include cattle farming and landfills. The emphasis on addressing methane emission reflects a broader recognition of the need of mitigate various contributors to climate change for a more comprehensive approach to environmental stewardship. Stewardship means the furthering or something, let's say, becoming a leader. The important portion here is that the pollutant group. So agriculture is the largest methane source. So remember agriculture. So it's also natural that agriculturing countries will be the top methane producers. So these are Australia, Brazil, China, and India. So India is the fourth here, which has a lot of methane emission. Here you can see. And in 7 of the 15 high methane emitting countries, 6 other countries' principal methane sources, oil and gas sector. In the remaining 2 countries, coal is the primary source. So this was about today's lecture. I hope you learned a lot. I'll be providing all these notes in the Telegram group from where you can download these. We'll see each other in the next lecture. Thank you very much. Have a great day. It's Yatharth signing off.